This is Howard the Humongous, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Iran is more dangerous than any of us think. Why? Because of a truth deeply hidden but hidden in plain sight. Iran is not just an ordinary enemy. The Ayatollahs, Imams, and Mullahs who run Iran do not think like you and me. Yes, these so-called religious scholars talk a lot about logic, but their logic would surprise you. It is based on the life of the Prophet Muhammad, a man who ran 65 military campaigns and personally led 27 of them. A man who said it is not permissible for a prophet to take prisoners until he has made great slaughter in the land. Iran's version of logic is based on Islam's holy documents, the Qur'an, the Hadith, and the Sunnah. More to the point, it is based on a certain interpretation of Islam. An interpretation most of the Muslims I know would oppose. An interpretation that poses a danger to you, to me, and to those who will come after us. That interpretation is summed up in the words of one man, the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the man who hijacked the Iranian Revolution of 1979, 41 years ago, snatched it from the hands of Iran's modern, tolerant, secular citizens, and put Iran under the control of religious leaders. The Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini is the man who made modern Iran a theocracy. But why is the Iranian theocracy dangerous to you and me? Surely Ayatollahs, Imams, and Mullahs are religious men, and religious men are men of peace, right? No, not one bit. For example, you and I are curses on the face of the planet, and to cleanse this planet, you and I have to be exterminated. Here's how the Ayatollah put it, quote, "Every part of the body of a non-Muslim individual is impure, even the hair on his hand and his body hair, his nails, and all the secretions of his body. Any man or woman who denies the existence of God or believes in his partners," he means the Christian Trinity, "or else does not believe in his prophet Muhammad, is impure in the same way as our excrement, urine, dog, and wine. He is so even if he doubts any one of these principles." The Ayatollah means that even if you doubt the principles of Islam, even if you just doubt them, you are as impure as piss and dog poop. If you are an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, or a believer in evolution, you are as impure as a dog, and it's clear that the Ayatollah thinks that God hates dogs. Why do statements of this kind matter? I mean, the Ayatollah has been dead since 1989, right? Wrong. The Ayatollah is vividly alive in the Iranian public mind. He is the George Washington of the modern Iran. Pictures of him are paraded through the streets in every government-sponsored celebration. Pictures of him 3 stories high are on the buildings. And the main airport of the entire Iranian nation, the Tehran airport, is named after him. Plus, his sayings are the founding principles on which the proxy armies, built by Iran's Quds Force, under the leadership of the man we assassinated by drone January 2nd, Qasem Soleimani, are built. For example, the Ayatollah's statements sum up the core ideas of groups like the Quds Force-created military that's been taking over Lebanon and fighting alongside the Russians in Syria, Hezbollah. So it pays to pay attention to the words of the Ayatollah Khomeini. His are the words guiding the Iranian government's mind, and guiding the minds of as many other Iranians as the reign of the Mullahs has been able to educate during its 41 years in power. What other words did the Ayatollah tattoo into the Iranian brain? If one allows the infidels, he said, to continue playing their role of corruptors on earth, their eventual moral punishment will be all the stronger. Thus, if we kill the infidels in order to put a stop to their corrupting activities, we have indeed done them a service, for their eventual punishment will be less. First, you have to understand what the Ayatollah meant by corrupting. He didn't mean bribes and kickbacks. He meant anything that takes the people away from Islam, from Iran's version of Islam, to be more specific. The key message of the quote I just read you is this: The Ayatollah says that by killing you, he will be doing you a service. He will lessen your time in hell. But there's more. Here's another verbal bonbon from the Ayatollah. The person who governs the Muslim community must always have its interests at heart and not his own. This is why Islam has put so many people to death, to safeguard the interests of the Muslim community. Islam has obliterated many tribes because they were sources of corruption and harmful to the welfare of Muslims. Note those words. This is why Islam has put so many people to death. This is why the Muslim community has obliterated many tribes. The Ayatollah is talking genocide, and he is telling his followers that this mass murder is a necessity, that it's holy, that it's demanded by God himself. And genocide means the end of you and me. The Iranians are not kidding when they take to the streets and chant death to America many times a year. They are shouting passionately about killing you, your friends, and your neighbors, not to mention mine. But surely the Ayatollah and his followers do not derive their opinions from the Qur'an. Western writers like Karen Armstrong, considered one of the great experts on Islam, tell you and me flat out that the Qur'an is a book of peace. The Ayatollah begs to disagree. Says the Ayatollah, quote, "The Qur'an constantly discusses warfare against the unbelievers," close quote. Adds the Ayatollah, "The idea of turning the other cheek has been wrongly attributed to Jesus, peace be unto him. It is those barbaric imperialists that have attributed it to him. Jesus was a prophet, and no prophet can be so illogical to turn the other cheek. Turning the other cheek is logic, the logic of the indolent, the logic of those who do not know God and who have not studied the Qur'an." In other words, real prophets are not men of peace. Real prophets, according to the Ayatollah, preach slaughter. Real prophets, according to the Ayatollah, preach war crimes. Insists the Ayatollah, quote, "The leaders of our religion were all soldiers, commanders, and warriors. They put on military dress and went into battle in the wars that are described for us in our history. They killed, and they were killed. The commander of the faithful himself, Muhammad, upon whom be peace, would place a helmet on his blessed head, don his coat of chainmail, and gird on a sword," close quote. Then there's the ultimate statement from the Ayatollah. Quote, "Muslims have no alternative to an armed, holy war against profane governments. Holy war means the conquest of all non-Muslim territories. It will be the duty of every able-bodied adult male to volunteer for this war of conquest, the final aim of which is to put Quranic law in power from one end of the earth to the other." Just to drive his points home, the Ayatollah adds, "All other wars of conquest are unjust and tyrannical and disregard the moral and civilizing principles of Islam." In other words, when others operate a war of conquest, it's an atrocity. But when the Mullahs of Iran mount a war of conquest, it is a holy deed. And to mount a war of this kind, it is essential to kill you and me. Remember, we are as impure as shit and piss. Keep these quotes from the Ayatollah in mind when you see news of the latest Iranian long-range missile and of Iranian progress toward nuclear weapons. Those weapons are designed to follow the Ayatollah's commandment of obliterating many a tribe, including yours and mine. So when the folks on my side of the aisle, us Democrats, tell you that all Iran wants is peace, do not believe us. The Ayatollah's views are the views that count in Iran. And the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini wanted war. Endless war. This is Howard the Humongous, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for that infamous, sleazy, slimy, sneaky, seditious little off button. I think I've got it.